Alright guys, we're going to start creating a character and we kind of go over the general uh, process of getting this done. Start off, this is Roll20, see roll20.net. I'll give you the join link once we meet up. But this will be, you'll need to create an account here and we'll go from there. Basically what I'm going to do, once you get into the game, I'll create you a character like this. You can change the name of that. I'm going to keep it to my default. And then the biggest thing we're going to be looking at is the character sheet here. The ability is not such a big deal. This character sheet is what majority of our focus will be on. So start off, you're going to need a name, a class, and what you want to, your race. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to do a ranger, and we're going to be elf. So the first thing to do is go to your race page in the handbook. So we're here, we're at elf, and the biggest thing is just to look at these different racial traits. You can kind of see throughout here. So we'll go ahead and go to Roll20 here. We'll be 169. We'll be male. We're gonna be 6 foot. We're gonna be 169 pounds. We're gonna be good. Good. DD, that's optional. I'm gonna stick away from that for now, just because it takes too long. Now we're gonna go back to our page, and basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through all of this and add it in to our page. So we can start with our speed. We already got medium. We'll come back to this ability scores later. So speed, we can go ahead and do that right now. It's 7 squares, and just to get kind of an idea, 1 square is about 5 feet. We're not going to keep track of that too much, but that's just something to keep in mind. So that's that, 7, 1, don't need that. Alright, and then our vision is low light. So that means if we're in a dungeon and it's dark, you would be able to see in low light. So racial features, you can just do something like vision, low light. And you can just keep adding different things here. And you don't have to keep it creating columns like I did. I just like to do it for organizational purposes. Languages. So we know Common and Elven. So we'll go here, and languages known. We have Common and Elven. Alright. Alright, skill bonuses. Got +2 to nature and a +2 to perception. So we'll mess with that later. Elven weapon gain proficiency with the longbow and short bow. So we can just copy this. And I'll add, and boom. We'll go back here. We're Fey Origin. That's not really huge. Group awareness. You grant non-elf allies within 5 squares of you 1+ racial bonus with perception checks. That's something that is good to have. And we'll just keep this kind of in the same thing here. Wild step, you ignore difficult terrain when you shift, even if you have power that allows you to shift multiple squares. And you can use Elven Axe as an encounter power. So we'll just bring this over here. So you can look through those different things there. And you can just kind of look at this if you'd like. There's not a lot more to this. It just kind of gives you some background, stuff like that, of how they're oriented and whatnot. So now what we can do is we'll go to our class page. So I picked Ranger, and this kind of gives you a brief overview and tells you how you do your damage and stuff like that, how you learn the martial, so that means you train through it. The biggest thing here is the key abilities. So this is what you want to put in your ability scores, the biggest things, and I'll show you what ability scores are. So here's your different ability scores. You have Strength, Constitution, Dexterity, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. How we're determining these, there's multiple different ways. What we're doing is just complete RNG, we're rolling for it. And so how we're actually going to do that, we'll just do that right now, is we're going to roll 4d6, and the lowest of the die you just do away with and add the other 3. And it makes it really easy on this website. If you do it, just roll. It rolls 4 of them for you. And if you go right here, it tells you your roll. So it says we got a 1, 4, 6, 3, which that's what we got. The easiest way to do this is just subtract the smallest number from this number. So we got a 13. So we'll keep track of this. And I've got a sticky note over here that you can't see. So we got a 13. We'll roll again. We got a 12. We got an 11. We get 14s. And we do this 6 times. Got a 17, so that's 5, that's 14. Roll. Got a 12, so that is 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need one more. And we got 18, so that's a really good roll right now. It's 15, so that's pretty good. And just to reiterate, so you roll 4 die and you take away the lowest one and add the rest. So what I'm just doing is taking the total and subtracting the lowest, which is 3, so we have 15 from that. So now that we have our ability scores, those are that right there. We can get rid of this. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put those into these different ability scores. So if you go to your class page, here's your key ability: strength, dex, and wisdom. So those are what you want to be your highest. Now if you go down to here, you can see your different abilities and powers. And the biggest thing to look at is either attack or the damage. So if you see here, this is a strength or dex. This is a strength. This is a dex. Look over here, we've got strength, or dex. So strength and dex are really big players here. So what I'm going to do is put our 15 and do strength. Now let me pull that sticky note over here. So 15, we'll make our dex the next highest, so that's a 14. We'll make our constitution, actually we're going to make wisdom 13. And then we'll make our constitution 12. And then let's see, we have an 11, so we'll make our charisma 11 and our intelligence 10. Alright, so brief little introduction into ability score. So this is your ability score, and this is your ability modifier. So the difference between these two is you use your modifier for your rolls. So say you were trying to overpower someone, I'd make you do a strength roll. You'd roll a d20 and you'd add your modifier, which is a 2. Or you can just click on this little button here. It adds the d20, so you get 11, but plus 2 because your modifier. Now you have a 13 as seen right over here. So that's kind of how that goes. So we'll go back to this page. Go to the top here. And let's see. So here's another thing to think about is our trained skills. There's different skills that we have. These are the two. We have engineering or nature that we can pick from that are just right off the bat, they're trained like that. And we can also choose 4 out of this list. So what I'll do is bring this over here. We'll bring this over here, maybe. Okay, sure. I can't bring it over. There we go. All right. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and pick Dungeoneering right here. And then we have 4 more out of this list. So we'll do acrobatics. We'll do athletics. How about perception? And we'll see stealth. Let's be sneaky. So all this does, the train skills, it gives you a +5 to this check. So say you're making a jump from one cliff to another, it might make you do an acrobatics check. So what you do is roll d20 and you'd add that modifier. And roll 20 makes it really easy. You just have to click that and it rolls it for you. Ooh, you got a critical miss though. So you just fell to your death. But you get the +7, which gives you an 8. That's kind of a look into that. Go ahead, go back to here. Alright, so we have different armor proficiencies, weapon proficiencies. Here's our hit points that we get, 12 plus constitution score. We have hit points gained per level, stuff like that. And that's about it right there. So what we can do is go ahead and do our bonus to defense. So we have 1 fortitude and 1 reflex. So you go here. So here's that. So here's fortitude. And here's class. So we have 1 to fortitude and 1 to reflex. Perfect. All right. Let's see. So hit points at first level. So it's 12 plus our Constitution score. So 12 plus Constitution. So 12 plus 12. That's 24. 24. Bloodied is half your HP. Surge is a fourth. And surges per day, it was something 6 plus Constitution modifier. So our Constitution modifier was 2, right? Yep, so we get 8. And I don't know what surge value means, so that's great. Alright, so let's see what else we can do right now. Got all of that stuff done. Got that done, got that done. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to do is our items. So I'm bring items over here. So we'll start off with armor. So the base thing here is to know what you're proficient in via your class. So if you go to your class page here, we're Ranger, and our armor proficiencies are leather, cloth, and hide, or cloth, leather, and hide. So all you do is go here. We have cloth, leather, hide. The biggest thing to check here is if you're proficient, you get this armor bonus right here. Now, I'm going to start everyone off with 100 gold. That's what you start off at level 1. And you can buy anything on here that you possibly can, whatever you want. So obviously, if it says special, you can't buy it. So we'll go light armor. So we'll just do leather armor. And that gives us a +2 bonus, but it doesn't mess with our check or speed. Now, if you were, say, a paladin like Nick is, he could go for the heavy armor, which give him a huge AC bonus. But his anything like strength, dexterity checks, they're going to have a -2, and his speed is going to have a -2. So that's something to keep in mind. So we're going to go ahead and do light armor. And so all you have to do here, and let's keep track of how much gold we spend. So we're going to get light armor, or leather armor, sorry. So that's -25. So we're at 75. What you do is go here. And go to inventory. Add. Leather armor. The weight really doesn't matter that much. I'm not going to make you deal with that. The biggest thing you want to keep here is the modifier. So that's going to give us a +2. So +2 AC. And AC stands for armor class. So that's perfect right there. Now we'll go back to our right here. And we can start picking out weapons. Now, there's a majority of different weapons. If you go to your class here, it'll say exactly what weapons you are good at. Simple melee, simple ranged, and military ranged. So we go here. We've got simple melee, we've got military melee, and we've got all the ranged weapons. So what I want to do, so we're actually gonna have a long bow. That sounds like fun. So that's -30 gold. I've got a kept track over here. So long bow. Those 30 pieces. And the biggest thing to keep track of here is your proficiency, as well as what damage and the range. So proficiency is +2. So that's going to help when you roll for attack, and then this is going to help with your damage. So it's a +2, 1d10. +2 attack, 1d10. And that kind of tells us a little bit about what it is and how we're going to go about playing it. So if I wanted to attack a troll with my longbow, I would roll a d20. I would add my +2 attack modifier. I'd roll, got a 13, and so if that hit, then I'd roll a d10. So we'll say the troll or whatever only had an AC of 10, so that hits. Roll the d20 or d10. That should have no modifier actually. And we got a 3, so it wouldn't do very much damage. Anyways, so that's kind of how that works. So far we have 45 gold left, so we're also going to get we'll get a simple dagger. So what we're going to do, that's going to be +3, 1d4. So it's +3 attack, 1d4. And the value is like 1 gold or something like that. Something stupid. Yeah, 1 gold piece. Oops. I guess that works. Alright, so we got that. We still have 44 gold left. So another thing to look at, instead of weapons, we also have down here different adventuring gear. So you can actually buy the standard adventurers kit. It's 15 gold pieces. It comes with the backpack, bedroll, flint steel, pouch, rations, all this stuff, all the way up to ammunition. So all this. I'd recommend getting this because it has just about everything that you might need. So if you're in the woods or something like that, you're not left without sustainment. There's other things. Here, this is something like a wizard would use. This is where you'd buy your wand or whatever you'd like to. We have other things like thieves' tools, more rope, lots of just different random things around here. Lots of fun. So we'll go ahead and buy a standard adventure kit. So that's -15. And what I'd recommend is just putting each one of these in here in your inventory. I'm not going to do it now for time's sake, but I would go ahead and put all these in here just so that you know exactly what all of it does and what you have at your disposal. You have a few other things over here. I doubt you'll buy any of it, but who knows? Maybe you want a horse instead of anything else. So that's about it for the items. Let's see what else we need to do. If you don't use all your currency, you can leave it here. So we'll act like I don't use any more. I still have 29 gold right there. That's not diamonds, gold. Shoot. Well, that's interesting. One moment while we have technical difficulties. Maybe one day. Alright. Okay. Where were we at? Gold. What do we have? 29. 29 gold. I don't know what that means, but whatever. Alright, so next we can start looking at our feats. So feats is kind of an interesting thing. Basically this lets you determine, gives you one little surge of specialty. So here's all the different feats. You can have any one of these. You get one of them. Unless you're a human, you get 2. Basically any of these. Character feats. Yeah, I think all these are good. Yeah, so any of these on these 2 pages, on 196 and 197, you just have to meet the prerequisite here. And so what I'm going to do, I've already got that. Da, 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 da. We'll do something like, here's one, skill training. So we gain training in one skill. So that'll be our feet. Go here, stats, feet, gain one skill, train skill, and we can basically do any of these, and we can do like one of the ones that you're struggling in, like some of these, most of them are 0 over here, so we could do like, let's say bluff, why not? That sounds like fun. And then we'll just put, we did bluff. And now that's done. And now at this point, what we're going to do is look at our powers. So you're going to start out with 4. So what you do is go to settings, go 4 here. Now you'll have 4. So what you do is go to your ranger page or whatever class you are and look at down at the attacks. So level 1, you get 2 at will, so these are the green ones. You get 1 encounter, the red ones, and you get 1 daily. So you get to pick between all these. So we'll just do 1 as an example real quick, and kind of, let's see. We'll do this one, careful attack. So basically all you have to do, and this is going to be a lot of going back and forth, so power name, careful attack, power range, melee or ranged, level, oops, 1, go settings, it's an at will. Let's see, so this is where it gets kind of complicated. So what you're going to look at, you got to make sure you meet the requirements. So you must be wielding 2 melee weapons or a ranged weapon, target 1 creature, the attack, this is where it's big. So it's going to be strength +2 versus AC. So if you go here to be strength versus AC, we're going to be using our weapon, and we'll get into doing the weapon in here in a second. And our weapon was 1d10. Our attack bonus was +2. Because it was, if you look here, strength versus AC, or right here, strength +2 versus AC. So it adds in our strength already. We do the +2, that's where we put +2 right here, the attack bonus. And then if you look at the player's handbook, if you hit, this is the damage. So you're going to do 1 weapon roll with either melee or damaged or ranged. And basically what this means is the 1W is 1 weapon roll, and I'll show you what that looks like. So basically, if you go to your inventory, we have our longbow here, and this is why we put this 1d10. So 1d10 is our weapon roll. So what we would do, and I need to put this in here, this is something I forgot. Longbow, it's 2-handed, number dice 1, 10, our proficiency was 2, and that is set right there. So that's perfect right there. So if we go to powers, now it should say, yep, 2. Perfect. So that's just kind of how you fill that out. And if you were to do this attack, which you can only use it once per, I'll explain that in a little bit. Let's say you want to use this attack, you roll, It's gonna roll 2, so that's not very good. That's probably not gonna hit. It's actually an 8 because it's strength plus, so it's still probably not gonna hit. But say it did hit, you'd hit him for 12 damage. I actually got a 10, so that was really good. That's kind of how you go about that, and you'd basically go through and do that for each one. And what you get is, like I said, 2 at will, 1 encounter, and 1 exploit. Now the difference between at will, encounter, and exploit, or daily, sorry, not exploit, daily, you can use these in between, so you can only use these once per cycle, and by cycle I mean in between rests. So say you get in a dungeon and you're going through it, you can only use one of these once. Now say you get out of the dungeon and you rest and it's the same day, well, you can go ahead, that kind of refreshes you. Now for the dailies, those can only be used once per day no matter what, even if you rest, no matter what. So that's kind of how that works. And you should have a character created unless you want a deity, which I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, other than that, it looks like we're good to go. Oh, one last thing I actually forgot. And that is our armor. So here we go. Base defenses all start with 10 plus 1/2 your level. Armor class, add the armor bonus of the armor you wear. So armor we wear, we can go to roll 20. Inventory, our other armor's plus 2 AC. So here's our AC, armor 2. So now it's at 12. And we'll just kind of go back and forth from there. We'll go back to here. Forward to, let's see. If we're in light armor or no armor, also add your dexterity modifier or intelligence modifier, whichever is higher. So if we go and check here, we'll go up to armor, and leather armor is light armor, and so we get to add our, was it our dexterity modifier? Dexterity modifier, yep, or intelligence, which we're dumb, so we're not going to add that. So our dex modifier is 2, so we're also going to add another 2 for ability, and that's 14 now. So basically how AC works, say there's a goblin and he's going to roll against you, and so what I would do is I'd roll a d20, and if I beat it, which I just did, that means the goblin just hits you. If it was below, then he would just miss pathetically. So that's kind of how that works. And you can just kind of go through each one here. There's fortitude, you add your strength modifier, constitution, reflex, will, so you go through all that. There's racial bonuses that you need to keep in mind, as well as item bonuses and stuff like that. And that thinks that should be able to do it. So it doesn't, well, it's a little tedious to get everything done, but once it's done, it'll kind of go over smoothly, and you'll have not too much trouble getting through all of it. It looks like it's not that bad, but it does take some time. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask.